So, what can you expect as a guest artist? This is a collective, meaning everyone contributes, everyone keeps the most of their own benefits possible. So, you're going to set your own hours, take your own days off, decide which projects you want and don't want, whether you want to take walk ins or not take walk ins. I'll build a profile for you and train my chatbot to answer questions based on your preferences. If somebody asks about you, your answers will go out. My basic expectations are that, take out your trash, clean your floors, help out around the shop. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that's like way out of your wheelhouse, but if your next place is going to be out on your own, you're going to be sweeping floors and taking walk-ins, and that's how these work. We're going to also ask you to help. So just help with floors and shared space. If something needs to get done, help do it. If you find yourself doing something all the time, let me know and I'll lean on everybody else and we'll all get it done in here. I'm the one that takes care of most of it, but we're all in here. If you're using shared supplies, help refill them either from the back or, use the Alexa and get them in here. I do bring in help sometimes, but, the artists are still responsible for everything here. If something needs doing, just do it. Collective effort matters. This is prep for owning your own space, right? Everybody here has been here and had experience and is getting ready to go off and do their own thing eventually. The client journey. So if you're a guest, the clients are going to come through our website, social media, Google ads, wherever they come from. Walk-ins can call, explore the site, and then find your page. Hopefully, we tell everybody to find an artist, but we also have a walk-in form for people that can't figure it out. Each artist is going to get a page and a form tailored to their style and preferences so we can let the clients know what that is. The goal is to help clients qualify themselves before reaching out. Maybe it's somebody that doesn't like your style or the price is wrong or whatever. We want as much information up so that they can decide if it's a good fit or not. Once the lead comes in, you're going to handle the communication, scheduling, consults, and aftercare. If you're not great with follow through, then automation is a must. Okay, so let's talk for a second about automation. This is our process of how we bring artists in. And I kind of just want to show this because it's kind of the same way that we would do a client, right? So the way that your forms are going to work are the same way that so the way that your forms are going to work are the same way, and your clients are going to come in is kind of similar to the same process. So what's happening initially is you're showing interest, and we're getting you a form that's generally going to be like a link in the bio or some kind of automated reply to a social media comment. From there, we're going to take a look and make a decision. We might say we're not interested, in which case we're going to tell you to try back later, and we're going to also send you a check-in in 6 months just to see how things are. If we do want to move ahead, we're going to do an interview with you, and then we're going to send you our onboarding survey, and what that's going to do is help us inform clients what you're into, what your working style is, that kind of thing. From there, you're going to select a date. Then you're going to do the guest spot. Then once the guest spot is set up, we're going to send out reminders to all the clients. We're going to send out reminders to you. We're going to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be. After the appointments, we are going to send reviews to the clients so that we know who we're hiring, if we're hiring people on long term. And then we're going to make a decision. And 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is we're going to have this open pathway for you to select dates whenever you want. Come to your guest spot. The advertising happens automatically. Mentioning you and posting you happens automatically. When we post, we do bulk posting. So what we would do is take whatever images you send us and just set up, so that everything's coming out not concurrently and not consecutively, but evenly timed to go with the rest of our social media posting. At this point, after a couple of these loops, what we'll probably do is offer a long-term position. So if you're seeing this video, this is probably where you're at. We might show it to people earlier on just to kind of show people what we're up to behind the scenes. But once we have discussed a long-term offer, whether we're going to want to work together long term or not. From there, we're going to develop a wiki about how you work, and this is just a few page guide that we're going to use to inform anybody working for us, including our AIs, chatbots, anything like that, how you work. And so when you make large changes to how you work, we just want to talk about that so that we can update it in our system. We don't care really what you're doing. If you made it this far, then you're in. But we do want to update it so that our system is giving up to date and realistic answers on your system. We're going to set up your intake forms, make sure you have our SOPs, and know what we're about, where we're coming from, what we're doing. One of the things is going to be one of these next videos, or at least a link that I'll include here, which is what it takes to be an independent contractor in Montana. So if you're an independent contractor in Montana, I have certain things I can do for you, certain things I can't do for you. And kind of what I've set everything up for is that, you know, at least around here, everybody wants to be independent contractors, or most people that I know. So I'm just setting it up to be in accordance with that, right? I don't really have control over your schedule. I don't really have control over how you do the work. I don't really have control over a bunch of things. So that's why I want to do a lot of screening before you're here all the time to make sure that the things I need you to do, you're just doing naturally, and I don't have to like try to control the situation at all. And then we have three main modes of employment. The first one is rent, and that's kind of what I'm trying to push everything towards, which is to say that the artist is assuming the risk. Uh, the artist is assuming the supplies and all communications responsibilities as well. So we agree on a rate. That rate, the very, very most basic baseline of that rate is $350 a week, and that's if you pay it flat altogether on the first. Um, you're also going to need some kind of booking software, or you're going to have to be on your phone enough that I know that anytime I send a client, that's going to get handled properly and it's not going to get lost um, in the ether. So I will have records of everything that I do and that comes from my side. I'm kind of leaning on you having that for yourself because I'm not doing any bookkeeping for you. I'm doing it for my shop. I'm trying to get people to you. If you're going to be completely independent, then there's a time in which we have to pass off the baton, and that time is once you've accepted the job. Then I will send you the client's information, and from that point, they're your client. Um, so booking software to have your own booking software is $100 a month. I can help with the setup. We can talk about the setup. That's a separate business that I actually do. Setting these things up for people. It's quite a bit. However, I have the shop already set up and I can copy and paste most of that stuff over for you. Um, and we can negotiate what that is. And essentially, what I would do is whatever number we come up with, we string that out over a year. And then, so for the first year, your rent price would be a little bit higher because we're just setting everything up. Um, and then that way you have more benefits as time goes on. So if you want to pay at the beginning of the month, we're talking about 1,400 flat. That comes down to $350 a week, plus the $100 booking software. It comes out to 1,500 a month. If we are paying weekly, then that's 400 a week plus 25 weekly, and that means 1,600 a month. Or we can do it with a cap, which means I will go back to percentage, but at once we hit $2,000, then that's it on rent. The booking software is still $100, but we can go 50 to 70% on that. So if you've made it this far, I think you're 70/30. That's just what I pay people. That's what I would pay somebody 30% if they took care of everything else for me. Um, So that's kind of like the baseline. And then if you want to get paid off earlier in the month, then you can pay me as much as you want. But this is going to come out of your numbers. I'm not taking any of your cash. You're keeping your cash. You're doing your own transactions. I will send you invoices based on how we split it up. If you go by the day, um, the price will be 150 to 200, depending on um, a variety of factors, and we can get into that later. So the next set is if you want to be an employee. So now we're just going to cap everything at 70%. It's always going to be 70%. and then everything is done for you but the styling. Everything is automated. Um, we'll set up taxes, withholding, booking subscriptions included, everything. And in the same way here, when you leave here, you're leaving with your booking software. And the reason for that is because I'm not getting into my records to give you anything on the way out. I want you to have all of your own tax information, all of your own financial information, all of your own conversations. I don't want to have to go back on it, and having this sets everything up. Setting everything up this way means that you will have that, you know, into the future as long as you want to go past this place, or you can just cut it off anytime you want. Um, and then the last thing that I'm starting to explore, and I haven't really gone all the way yet, but I'm looking at it, is what I'm calling agency style. So this is basically like daily rent. So there's no commitment on anybody's part. And essentially, I would be taking on the marketing and advertising aspect, and then I would be renting you space for the day based on whether or not I can book this time, right? So instead of coming here and waiting for walk-ins, I'm going to actually market you and try to get you as many days as I can get you. That's the name of the game there, right? Um, you're going to stay on as a daily guest. We're going to run ads for you. The client is going to pick the artist and negotiate the date. We're going to maintain 1 to 2 guest stations. And so you're going to have to bring a tablet and machine. Everything else is in-house. So the shop is going to give you an invoice with pricing that's going to include materials and rental space. Just because this is great to have split up on your taxes, right? So ultimately what we're charging you is going to be this whole round number that we agree on. And then we're going to split that somewhere 70-30 or 60-40 or at some percentage base. And some of that's going to be supplies and some of that's going to be materials. That way, there's transaction amounts for everything. When a person books, we're also going to take care of sending the reminders, sending the intake paperwork, taking the deposit. Ideally, what I would really like to do is set this up so that I take the deposit. Um, I'm going to take the deposit amount. Let's say we're renting the station for 200 a day. Your deposit amount is $200. As long as the client shows up, I've been paid for the day, and you just charge the client whatever the remainder is. You keep all of your money. There's no further transactions that we need to have. And at the end of the year, the money that we got from those clients, we attribute to your account. Right. So, you know, that's kind of the way that I'm envisioning everybody stays honest, right? Meaning the shop pays to dump clients into the artist's pocket and controls the messaging, the advertising, the ads, the marketing, like all that stuff. And then the artist just comes in when they have an appointment. The station is X amount for a day. But what this will also open up in the long term is that if you were to go open a shop down the street or start working out of your house, potentially I could still send these clients to you. And, I'm thinking about it at the shop where if I'm sending people these clients and I'm keeping the deposit, based on kind of like a finder's fee situation, that can be separate from the rent, and I don't even have to have people here. So if this if this all works out the way I'm seeing the agency model, then that means that, like, if you wanted to, have a shop 2 towns, 2 streets, or 2 states over, um, I could still help with a lot of the marketing, advertising, any of that kind of stuff that comes up. And even if I wasn't helping, the software translates, right? So the software that we use is the same backbone as a lot of other tattoo-based booking softwares out there. So you can just eject your account and send it over to another platform and be your own people. What I would recommend if you go that route is that I recommend that the shop has its own booking software and then maybe takes care of the owner on the same account or something, and then everybody else have their own account, because that's where, as a business, your employees can really get in and, like, start dicking with your clients a lot. And as a artist, that's where, you know, Big Brother can get involved, is like the fact that you guys are sharing this software or this system. And so the way that I work is I have an account that's for the shop, I have an account that's for the booking software company, I have an account that's for my tattoo stuff, and then I can have as many sub accounts as I want. And so that's what that business does. Bold Booking just kind of I set the same thing up for artists, and all of the workflows that we already have, I just copy over. That way it's done a lot faster, a lot easier. I coach people through it. I walk people through it. And then you will be able to, and then that way, you know, in the next couple of weeks or whatever, once we've tackled all this for your account, you have it done and it's good. And you can stay with us or you can not stay with us. You can stay tattooing with us or not stay tattooing with us, or use different software. You can do, you know, whatever you want. But going back and, you know, keeping records has always been thorn in my side. And so I have records, but the best deal for me is to send your records to you immediately and let you take care of your records. And I can't help with that, but as you know, studio full of independent contractors and renters, I have limited control, and I really don't want that control, right? I want people to have good marketing, and for that, if a client calls or comes to the shop, they immediately get sent a form. That form immediately goes out to the artist. The artist can check it from their phone and you know, approve the job from the river if you're out floating, and then it sets up the entire process so that everything's automated. And that's kind of what I'm just trying to illustrate here, is that these diamonds are the points where I have to make a decision in your whole process, right? So you're going to end up in one of these spots. I don't have to do anything except for make decisions at these 3 points. And that's how we're going to set up your booking, right? So we want automated booking and qualified clients. And what we're going to do is make sure it's very, very easy for clients to book, and make sure they cannot possibly ignore the information that they need to know if they're a good fit for you. And we'll get into that next. Okay, let's talk for a minute about your client journey and automated booking. So what's going on here is that what we want to define, and what we've pretty much defined for our studio, you can define it a little bit differently for yours, is there's a client journey, and that goes from discovery to follow-up, right? And so it starts with discovery, which means your clients um, find you through, or us really, through Instagram, your website, Google, SEO, social media, blogging, marketing, posters, affiliates, referrals. First impressions matter here. This is where your brand, tones, visuals, and curation hook them, right? So we have our own, you'll have your own. This is called discovery. And then from discovery, the people are going to go either straight to inquiry, or preferably what we want is we want them to go to artist selection. So we are directing the client to choose an artist. The artist forms are readily visible and available on the Montana Tattoo Company site. So once you go to the artist and you pick an artist whose style you like, there's a form on their page. There will be a form on your page. And from there, you fill out a contact form, and you can do that straight from the discovery and fill it out for first available, or pick an artist on it. We don't like the walk-in form as much, but that's the form most people get. So instead of instant bookings, the client fills out a consultation form. This filters for intent and alignment, starting the experience with respect and structure. The form information goes into the Montana Tattoo Company system. Client info gets sent to an artist. The client info gets sent to the artist system, CRM, and this triggers the artist workflows. From here, the artist has to make a decision, right? What do I want to do? Do I want to go for it, and then we set up a consultation? Or do I not want to go for it, in which case the client deserves to know? So what we do is, if you don't want to do it, we set up a denial letter. So when you hit no, I don't want to, we send a denial letter to the client. Um, and then we send a denial letter to the client, and then outreach is part of that. So a denial letter should be an opportunity to sell the client on something. This can be a soft pitch and a bland, soft letdown, but preferably a link back to your want-to-do list or your portfolio or whatever you do want to do, right? We cannot make you take any job. I'm not willing to make you take any project that you don't want. However, if you want to say no to something, yes, that is your opportunity to pitch people on something better. Um, and so, you might outright say it's not for me, or we might have a dummy letter set up with everything included that says, hey, here's where you can get to my work. If you don't like my work, here's the link to go check out the other artists at the shop. If you don't like the other artists at the shop, I really like so and so at blah 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 shop. And you can put all that in there so that it's not intimidating to tell people no. You can tell people no, and you actually have more chance to get them as a client later. And if you're professional and upright and polite with those people and you turn them down, and the other guy you send them to is a dick, chances are you're going to get them back, right? And then so that will take them back up into artist selection and keep them going on this side until somebody says yes, which will send them to the consultation. So consultations, you can do it in person if you want to do it at the shop. You can do it in person anywhere else if you want to do that. You can do it in Zoom or you can do it on the phone. I like Zoom. This is a new thing for most people, but I'm in a lot of art classes online, and that has really opened up the doors on some things, because not only do you see the person face to face, you can see struggle, frustration on their face, you can see joy, you can pick up all the extra cues that you can't necessarily always pick up on the phone. But you can have some kind of program record the conversation. So for me, the reason that I like Zoom is because I can be present and there and talking and drawing and searching for things, and I don't have to worry about keeping notes, right? I just record the conversation. I get a transcript of that later. I can take that transcript and put it in the client's notes, so that when I'm finally ready to talk to this person about this tattoo in 4 or 5 months, when we're actually going to go about it, I have all that information and it's all fresh. So a one-on-one conversation with the artist, this confirms vision, feasibility, and whether it's the right fit, protecting both time and integrity of both parties. From the consultation, we're going to set an appointment, right? So that's probably something you might want to do in your consultation, is set the appointment. Once the appointment is set, it automatically, the client's going to get reminders. On tattoo day, they're going to get one that is how to prep, a link to their paperwork, and reminders about how they should be handling their guests. We tattoo upstairs, so it's kind of really annoying when people are coming in and they don't have appointments. So what we do is we just instruct clients to tell their friends that the password is "it's me." So anytime they walk down, we say "we'll be right in" or "we'll be right down." If somebody says "it's me," that's our cue to not have to get up and do that again. And then after the tattoo, the client will get a next day message, follow-up, and it'll talk about, the aftercare in case they didn't listen, and give them any links for anything else they need. Depending on where they are in the project, we'll have something, and they can either then get a 1-month follow-up offer and then a review request. So after a month, we follow up, offer a touch-up if it's needed, and then we do that again at 6 months. If the tattoo's not over, then on this next day message with the aftercare, we send the booking link so that they can start again and get the reminders again, pay the deposit again. Everything happens again automatically based on the link that we send on the following day. And we can set that up in a few different ways. That can be based on tagging, that can be based on calendars. We can work it out a few different ways. And then Our pre-session prep forms and emails. Clients receive automated reminders and fill out medical and consent forms digitally. This ensures safety, readiness, and smooth operations. The best practice is a series of reminders and a workflow to see if a client showed up. If yes, they get the paperwork. If no, they go into a nurture workflow. So what I'll set up for you in your system is automatic PDF paperwork that gets sent that is state legal. And then we'll set up a workflow so that when you have a client fill it out, we both get it, right? And because I think that as in Montana, it's the studio that has to keep it. So the studio must keep the paperwork, but as your own business, you have to keep it also. And so, we don't want to have to go through and duplicate all this paperwork when we split up. So we just set up a workflow so that if the people do the paperwork on my end, you get a copy, and if they do the paperwork on your end, I get a copy, and everything's all good. The day of the tattoo, one client, one artist, no walk-ins, a curated and uninterrupted experience that feels more like a private ceremony than a service. These should go next to these other ones. And then for aftercare and follow-up, we have personalized aftercare advice and an optional follow-up. This phase helps protect our work, builds long-term trust, and reinforces your studio's care and professionalism. Now, this looks like a lot of conversation to get to tattoo day, but really, you just have to make this decision. Do I want to do the tattoo or I don't want to make the tattoo? You're going to have to show up for the consultation. You might have to have a hand in choosing the date. You might have to have it set up so that on a person's first appointment, they come to a calendar that sends a message afterwards that just books them through. And then maybe you have a different calendar for final appointment. And then once you've done that final appointment and the tattoo is finished, it does the 1 month follow-up and review request, right? So there's a couple places that you're going to have to get in there and do something. There's a couple of situations within the system itself that you're going to have to understand so that you can use the right thing at the right time. But we're going to try to automate most of that stuff so that all you have to do is make this decision and make sure that you send out the right calendar link, and that's it. Everything else is done. You and I are going to sit down and work out this system for you, how it works for you, and then we have our system that works the way for us. So we cast a wide net. People say, hey, I want to talk to Harry. We say, hey, Harry, do you want to do this demon tattoo on a calf? Harry says, yes, I want to do it. We say, cool, Harry, Susan Jordan wants to do that. This is her number. And then we trigger a workflow that when we send that, we send the client the information. Hey, Harry would love to do this tattoo. We're going to send you his information right now. Expect a text from him in the next 5 minutes. We send that information to your system. Your system sends off a message that says, hey, I'm so-and-so represented by Montana Tattoo Company, and I saw this project that you had. I'm super interested in it. My hands happen to be really full at the moment, but if you have any other images or anything to tell me about this piece, you can send it here. And if you want to just move forward with a consultation, you can use this link. That gets sent automatically, where all you've done is say, yes, I'll do it. And then the first message that you should get in your system is the client saying, yeah, that sounds great. Here's my extra images. And everything's warmed up. Everything's included in there. And we can even make it so that the first client, so that when we send the message to the client, it says, hey, this is the information I have. Is this correct? And we'll just copy and paste their information back to them so that they know and they're clear that you got the information. We're off the hook for having their information. You're on the hook for answering all the questions. I'm on the hook for helping you set up all the automations. And then we can actually run this business as independent artists, and I don't have to be anybody's boss. So that's the goal here. That's what I want to do. And I just kind of wanted to show you the client workflow and the client journey, also your client journey as my client. So that you know what's going on and what we're trying to do. It does look confusing from here, but the point to remember is that this is the point to remember. We want to make it so easy so that you basically get maybe two no's. One outright, I don't want to fuck with it, and one that's like, nah, let's try to sell this person up, right? That might be the difference between a no and a maybe. But we set that up. And then we discuss how you want to get the offer. Do you want to get it an email with nice buttons where everything looks super cool? Or do you want it in text where you can just open your phone, click the thing, and you don't care that it's a nice little button or whatever? We can set it up for everybody independently, but I do need the structure on my side to be consistent. And the way that I do that is by training people when they come in with how this works. And hopefully it works for you.